Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about a case that shocked a small town in the state of West Virginia, the death of Riley Crossman. Hit that like and subscribe button and please share. Okay, let me tell you about this story. Riley Crossman, 15, was born on December 22nd, 2003 in Martinsburg, West Virginia. She was described as a national artist, a talent dancer with the voice of an angel and a laugh that would fill the room, and everyone loved her. Riley was a freshman at Berkeley Springs High School in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, and known as a beacon of light that loved her family. Her dance teacher at Berkeley Springs High School described her as a kid that had a bright future and was going to go somewhere in life. Riley lived with her mother, Chantel Oakley, and her mother's boyfriend, Andy McCarley, along with her two younger brothers. She also spent time with her father, Lance Crossman, and her stepmom, who lived close by. Things were going great for Riley. She was just a typical stubborn teenager with a drama-filled attitude. However, in the blink of an eye, things took a turn for the worse, and due to a senseless act, Riley lost her life too soon. It was quickly determined that Riley didn't run away. Her parents agreed that this was not an option that she would take. Riley loved her family and wouldn't do anything to hurt them. The last time anyone saw Riley was on May 7, 2019, around 7 p.m. Riley came home from school around 3:30 p.m. and saw her mother, Chantel, sleeping on the couch. Now, Chantel worked two jobs. And on this day, she came home early from her first job to get some sleep because she wasn't feeling well. She had texted Riley and told her that when she came in from school to wake her. That evening, Riley's mother goes to her second job while Riley spends time with her grandmother until around 7 p.m. When Chantal returns home around 10 p.m. that night, Andy is sleeping in a recliner. She notices the door to Riley's bedroom was closed, but she could see her light was on. So thinking that she was just busy and on FaceTime with her boyfriend, Hayden, she just went to bed because she still wasn't feeling that great. Now, Riley had been dating her boyfriend, Hayden, for about 9 months. Hayden adored her, and he was well liked by Riley's parents. They spent hours on FaceTime when they were away from each other. And Hayden was not a suspect in this case. So he was immediately ruled out. Actually, the day that Riley went missing, he was on a field trip. Now, Riley's parents felt that Hayden was a good influence on Riley and that her grades had even came up since she had been in a relationship with Hayden. The next morning, May 8, 2019, when Chantel got up to get ready for work, she notices that Riley's bedroom door was still closed. When she checks on her, Riley is not there. Riley sometimes left for school early to hang out with her friends and Hayden before school started at 7:45 a.m. Plus, again, Hayden had a field trip on this day and she wanted to see him before he left. So Riley left early for school was not uncommon. Her getting up, getting ready, getting dressed, and leaving out early for school was not uncommon. Her school was just a walk across the street, so her mom didn't think much about it when she opened up her bedroom door that morning, and she had already left. So she takes the boys to school and she returns home to get ready for work. Now, Chantal goes to work as a normal, and around 10 a.m. she receives a call from Denise Denver. Denise had children with Andy, and her and Chantal had seemed to have a great relationship. Denise was on her way home from working out when she drove past Chantal's house and noticed a green Dodge Ram truck backed in her driveway between the house and the shed beside the house. She questions her as to why the truck was there. Now, Chantal was confused because she knows Andy does not have a truck or a valid driver's license. But she does know he works with someone who drove a green Dodge Ram truck that would pick him up in the mornings around 5 a.m. to give him a ride to work. So, just thinking maybe they had to run back to the house for something, she didn't think much about it and she just continues to go to work. 11:45 a.m. that morning, she receives a message on Facebook Messenger from Howard Rourke, Andy's employer. He was wanting to know if she knew when Andy was coming back to work. Chantal, confused, replied that she didn't know and she had not talked to him. She continues with her work shift and noticed around 3 p.m. that she had not heard from Riley all day. Now, this was very unusual because Riley was glued to her phone like most teenagers, and she was always asking, can she go and do this, or can this person come over? She goes to text Riley, and the messages are coming back as undeliverable. She then tries to call her, and her calls are going straight to voicemail. Riley keeps her phone glued to her like most teenagers. She contacted her mother because she would always be at the house waiting on Riley and her brothers to come home after school. She told her that she had not heard from Riley all day and that she needed someone to check on her. Riley's grandmother goes to the school and she sees Hayden in the parking lot returning from his field trip, and she learns that he has not heard from Riley all day as well. Chantal is now feeling upset because it seems as if no one has heard from Riley. She then receives a call from Riley's school around 5 p.m. informing her that Riley had been absent in one or more of her classes. Now, 5 p.m. is late to contact the parent and let them know that their child was not in school for the day. Now, because of this case, the Riley Crossman case, that process has been changed by the West Virginia School Board. So parents are now to be contacted in the morning around between 11 and 11:30 a.m. when their child is absent from one or more of their classes. Once she receives the call from the school, she quickly calls 911 to report Riley missing. Law enforcement launches a massive search with federal, local, and state agencies searching for Riley in vacant buildings and underpasses, backyards, shafts, abandoned vehicles, and bodies of water. When Andy comes home from work, she informs him that Riley was missing. He goes in the house, comes back out, and jumps on a bike and takes off. Confused, she goes out to look for Riley along with Riley's dad. However, when she comes home from searching, Andy's in the bed, knocked out, no worries in the world. Now, her daughter is missing, and he in the bed sleeping as if everything is okay. Now, there's not much said or I could find about the background of Andy McCarley Jr., but that he lived in Hedgeville, West Virginia. He was dating Riley's mom, and he was employed as a construction worker, and he was very heavy addicted to drugs. Andy had been a suspect to police since day one. The prosecuting attorney stated that information began to develop that led them to believe that Andy was a suspect, and each day evidence became stronger, indicating even more that he was. Early morning of May 9th, Riley's dad is in question as to why her TV is turned over in her room. He knew that that wasn't like Riley and that she was always great at letting him know about what was going on. He speaks to law enforcement about his concerns. Law enforcement goes to the home of Riley shortly after they spoke to her dad and finds her mom on the phone with Verizon trying to obtain Riley's phone records. They request to look at Riley's room, and while looking around, they notice blood on a blanket and bloodstains on a pillow. Chantal was worried because now when she is in Riley's room with law enforcement, she noticed things are different from when she entered her room earlier looking to see if maybe she had left a note. Now she noticed that Riley's book bag, eyeglasses, purse, money, and cell phone charger were all in her room, but her cell phone was missing. Why would she take her phone but not her charger? She said that is totally not like Riley. Chantal assured law enforcement that she was sure that Riley would not have left home without any of these items. After performing a test on the blood, the results came back, and not only was this Riley's blood, but it was also mixed with her saliva. Evidence is starting to build strong against Andy, and it gets stronger as law enforcement again begins to start speaking to others. First, Don Morgan. Don went to law enforcement because he was not sure if the information he had was related to Riley's disappearance. Don Morgan was an old boss of Andy's. He had not had contact with Andy in over 6 months, and the last interaction he had with Andy and Chantal left them on bad terms. So, of course, he went to law enforcement concerning the numerous calls and text messages between the hours of 1:50 a.m. and 3:41 a.m. on the early mornings of May 8th from Andy saying he needed a place to crash for a couple hours. After speaking with Don, law enforcement realizes that Andy had not mentioned anything about this. Instead, he told them that he went to bed until he got up around 4 a.m. to get ready for work. Reviewing all the other statements that were taken, detectives quickly realized that nothing Andy was saying was adding up. In Denise Denver's statement, she shares with law enforcement the same information she called Chantal about on the morning of May 8th around 10 a.m. when she was driving by after the gym and seen the green Dodge Ram truck backed up beside the house. She also tells detectives that the driver door was open and that she couldn't see the tailgate because the truck was backed in. Denise also informed them that when she questioned Andy on why he was there and why he had the truck backed in, he tried to sway her to believe that she saw something different. After speaking with Bobby Golden, Raleigh's grandfather, they learned that Andy came to his house around 2:30 a.m. early in the morning of May 8th to get drugs. And he showed up in Chantel's car. Now, law enforcement is again concerned because during their first interview with Andy, he told them that he walked to get the drugs and then he walked back home. Bobby also tells law enforcement that he noticed that Andy's hair was wet like he had taken a shower. Statements from his co-workers cause much more suspicion. His co-worker Jimmy Walters leaves his home early every morning around 4:30 a.m., picks Andy up and another co-worker on the way to work. Johnny states normally he would have to call and bang on the door when he picked Andy up. But this particular morning, May 8th, Andy calls him around 4:30 a.m. saying he was ready, come and pick him up. He needed to get to work. When they get to work and finally learn which location they were assigned to, Andy pulls out drugs. They do the drugs, and meanwhile, they receive a call from the boss informing them that they would need to go back and repair a shelf at the Red Hill development or subdivision. They go back, and Andy quickly gets out the passenger side. He throws Johnny some tools, tells him he needs to meet someone, and he takes off in the truck. Now, Johnny's confused. He don't know what to think because he said he had never seen Andy drive. So he was confused while he was watching him drive away. He didn't know what was going on. Johnny begins to repair and realizes that he didn't have all his tools he needed. And Andy had not returned with the truck. So he walks up the road to the boss. The boss sees that he doesn't have the truck, and he is immediately in question as to where is your truck. He informs him that Andy had taken off with it and has not yet returned. So after some time goes by and Andy still has not returned with the truck, the boss then contacted Chantal on Facebook Messenger, and she had informed him that she had not heard from or seen Andy. Evening of May the 10th, Hayden arrives at the police station with his mother, and what detectives learn at this visit confirms their suspicions of Andy since day one. Gratefully, Hayden owned an iPhone and Apple Watch. Hayden stated that on the night of May 7th, he was on a FaceTime with Riley until he fell asleep at 10:30 a.m. Now, although he had fallen asleep, he remained on FaceTime with Riley. This is something they did all the time. They would stay on FaceTime together for hours. Hayden didn't like his mom to know about, the things he and Riley talked about. So even though they were just normal, teenage conversations, boyfriend, girlfriend stuff, he was in the habit of deleting his messages from his phone at the beginning of each day when he got up in the morning. But when he got up on May 8th, he just automatically did that. And, he just didn't think nothing of it. He automatically just deleted the message. However, while he was out assisting in the search for Riley, he later realizes that he still had messages on his watch. The same messages was still on his watch. So he had deleted them from his phone, but he never deleted them from his watch. Now, remember, Hayden falls asleep around 10:30 p.m. the night of May 7th. But on his watch, he noticed a message from Riley at 11:01 p.m. saying, "Andy is in my room. I'm scared, babe." He immediately turns it over to detectives. Andy is called in for another interview. He tells law enforcement that he was at work all day and he didn't leave until it was time to go home at the end of the day. He is questioned about going to Red Hill. "Oh yeah," he says, "we had to go down and repair a shelf." Then he states that he left to buy drugs and that he met someone to get the drugs. When he was asked how he got in contact with who he met, he said that he had contacted the person with his phone and they decided where to meet up. Now, detectives had already learned when speaking to Chantal and that Andy had left his phone at home that day. So they already knew he was lying about reaching out on his phone to someone about meeting up for drugs. So there was no way that he could have used his phone. There was just no way. When questioned about what he did the early mornings of May 8th, Andy changes his statement and now says that he woke up feeling dope sick. He made some calls, grabbed money from the bedroom, and then he left. He then said he walked to Jimtown Road to get the drugs, and then after that, he walked back home, which we've already know someone else has stated that he did come and get the drugs, but he didn't walk there. He drove his girlfriend's car. Keep in mind that Jimtown Road also is 3 miles out from the house. So to walk there and walk back, that's like 6 miles that early in the morning. But Andy claims that when he got back home, he used the drugs. About that time, his ride came from work to pick him up for work, and he left. Now, when he was questioned about the multiple calls and texts to Don Morgan the early morning of May 8th, he claimed that he wanted to see if he wanted the HVAC contract business at the Red Hill subdivision that he was working at. May 16th, 2019, a week after Riley went missing, searchers from the Division of Natural Resources found her body on an embankment off of a rural mountain road section near the top of a mountain covered in drywall. Now, because Andy left his phone at home on the morning of May the 8th, detectives were not able to track his location when he left the job site. However, instead, they were able to depend on CCTV to learn what locations he traveled while he was using his co-worker's truck on the morning of May the 8th while he was supposed to be at work. Now, keep in mind, his boss was in question because Andy was gone about 5 hours. 5 hours. The first camera at Hedgeville High School gave them their first clue. It showed Andy leaving the work site in the green Dodge Ram truck and heading towards Route 9. Then a camera at the bank of Charlestown throws the detectives another clue when it picks up Andy in the green Dodge Ram truck, still going the same direction. A mile and a half down the road from the Charlestown bank, another CCTV camera at Murphy's gas station picks up the green Dodge Ram truck, still heading towards Route 9 towards Berkeley Springs. He is also seen at Rock's gas station getting fuel and not seen again until Denise Denver sees him backed up beside the home in the green Dodge Ram truck. Detectives now believe that Andy went back to the home, backed the truck up to the back door, got Riley's body, which he had hidden in her bedroom, and moved her to the location where she was found on May 16th. To verify their findings, they had a team to come that specialized in working with cadaver dogs that are trained to pick up the scent of decomposition. Immediately, Rock, the dog, used to assist with this case, responded to decomposition in the back of the truck. Detectives now know for sure that Riley had been in the truck, but still they were not sure at what point Andy had taken her. But it wasn't long before they got their answer from the surveillance camera at the internet store 6 miles away from where Riley was found. This surveillance shows the green Dodge Ram truck go up the mountain and shortly come back down. Prosecutors believe that Andy went into Riley's bedroom on the night of May 7 to assault her. Riley was found with her shorts unzipped and unbuttoned, and her underwear was ripped. Her underclothes were pulled oddly up around her as if she had been, the clothes had been put on in a hurry is how they described it. To prevent Riley from screaming for her mom, it is believed that Andy used her pillow to suffocate her. October 5th, 2021, following a 7-day jury trial, Andy was found guilty of first-degree murder, concealment of a body, and death by child abuse for the death of Riley Crossman. November 4th, 2021, he was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms plus 1 to 5 years for a concealment charge and 15 to life for child abuse. His sentences were to be served one following the other, and he will never have another chance in the outside world. He can forget it. There was much talk in the community that Chantal was involved with Riley's death, which also caused trauma to Riley's brothers. Word was also going around that she was visiting Andy in jail. The prosecution attorney, Dan James, made a point to share with media that Riley's mom had not visited Andy in jail not one day, and that there was no evidence that she was involved. She actually did what she could to assist law enforcement in catching Andy because she was also suspicious of him too. The home Riley shared with her family on 15 Greenway Drive in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, has now been demolished and serves as an extended parking lot for Charlotte's Cafe across the street. A memorial in her remembrance remains on the property. Riley should be enjoying her senior prom with her boyfriend Hayden and snapping photos with her family and friends at her high school graduation. Instead, her life was forever altered when Andy failed her on the early mornings of May 8, 2019, not giving her family a chance to say goodbye. Keep Riley's family in your prayers, especially her mother and 2 brothers. I couldn't find anything on if they, were still living in Berkeley Springs, but regardless of where they are, I pray that they have found some sort of closure and they're doing whatever they can to keep Riley's memory alive. All right, guys, that's it for me. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And most importantly, be kind to yourself and to others.